Hello and welcome to the Unofficial Controller Podcast, your weekly gaming podcast, episode 55, The Last of Us Part 2, with me, George, and as always joined by Tom. Joel, to my Billy Joel and my achy breaky heart. How's it going?
Oh, I don't know. I should pull you up on that there.
Why? What's wrong with Billy Joel?
An achy breaky heart. Yeah. Billy Joel was the piano man, wasn't he? Billy Ray Cyrus.
Oh, well, either which way. It was...
I feel bad now for doing that.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's not like me to get something wrong. I feel the producer will leave it in to make you look good, so that's how we roll. Let's give them a rundown of how things go. It's the feature this week, Tom, is going to be a Last of Us 2 sort of deep dive and a refresher of the story for all those who don't want to dust off their PS3 or PS4 remastered copy and want to go straight in. So we're going to kick off with a little bit of news. Interesting news, Tom. There's some Sega news in there. Then that aforementioned feature. Then we're going to slide into the new releases as Stingray belts up the drive. You can't kill him. No one can. And then I'm going to finish the show where we ask each other what we're hoping to play. But as always, we start with what you... Hang on a minute. It's part of the law now. The ever-living law. Don't you dare, Odders. Is for one forever. Grip that wheel, Odders. He's been down the garage this week, Tom, so he's got back in his, what did he have, Mondeo? Yeah. He's got back in his Mondeo. He's gripped that wheel. It's a little hot in the sun. He's probably took off the first 3 layers of his hand. Grip that wheel, Odders. Tom, what have you been playing?
This week, I've finished The Last of Us, ready to play part 2.
Ooh, questions.
I'll not talk too much about that because the feature's about it, really. So, yeah, I didn't find that. I remember that tunnel we talked about last week, the highway tunnel that takes you to the hospital. Yeah. I didn't find either of those sections overly troubling.
Really?
Gets a little hard at the end where the guys have the assault rifles and they can bring you down quite quick. But
in the hospital?
Tunnel, but the tunnel overall just felt like I had loads of resources, especially for hard mode.
Really?
Maybe I just conserved a lot over the course of the game. But yeah, just a few petrol bombs and bow and arrow.
If I remember, there's some clickers down there, isn't there? And there's a bloater as well.
Yeah, I think there's 2 bloaters. But yeah, just for hard mode, it wasn't overly difficult.
All right, okay. Well, what else have you been playing?
We've been tackling Streets of Rage again, progressing a bit more on that. Just trying to clear the arcade. I think we've been up to like stage 9 now, so we're getting ever closer to finishing it in one run on one set of lives. Modern Warfare.
I see Bobby's platinum that, by the way.
What, Streets of Rage?
Yeah. God.
Yeah, that is impressive. That's not an easy feat.
No. Tell me some more about this COD Warzone night you've been playing.
Yeah, it's always good fun, but it just feels like we need to freshen up that map a bit now. It's getting a little bit stale. Plays really well still, and it's still got a little addictive. I'll have one more go, one more drop. But yeah, it just feels like everyone really knows that map quite well now, and they know sort of the best areas to walk in with the circle and sort of good positions to be in. And yeah, it just needs a change of face now.
Is this your bottom lip coming out because you don't know the best places to go and therefore you keep getting owned?
No, we don't do too bad. We're not amazing, but we still enjoy it.
Who's this we? Who are you having dalliances online with, you little snake?
Just me pals.
Well, you're not willing to give them the limelight, are you, as always?
No.
Okay,
no.
fair enough. I'm a celebrity.
Yeah, I am.
Seemingly you work for Naughty Dog as well.
I do, yeah.
Unbelievable.
Side branch. They call me in when they want some excellent writing for the story.
Okay, well,
bring the lore up to my level.
Really? Right.
Speaking of Call of Duty, I played World War II as well. The Call of Duty World War II game that was part of the PlayStation Plus early release as well.
Back to the fatherland. I know. Maybe they're trying to atone. I liked last month's releases of Farming Simulator 19 and City Skylines, but I know a lot of the fans didn't. So maybe they're trying to atone for their sins by slapping COD World War II in their face and hard delivering Battlefront 2, Star Wars Battlefront 2 straight to the hard drive.
Yeah, that's quite gutting considering I bought it a few months ago, but never mind. More people to enjoy the online with. What else? Yeah, going back to the World War II Call of Duty, the opening and intro and the graphics of the D-Day landing are fantastic. I recommend you just download it just for that first mission. It's really well put together. The characters are like very Band of Brother-ish. The way you meet on the ship at the start, and then you it's quite a cool section where you drag in one of them and you've only got your pistol, and it's all very Call of Duty, but it just feels a little bit better than a lot of their previous campaigns. And I'm quite interested to see. Well, we know where it goes if you've watched any World War II movies, series, read any books. I think you know the rough route of the journey they go on after landing at Normandy. But I think I still think that'd be quite good. So looking forward to trying a bit more of that.
Nice.
How about you?
What have I been doing? Stranded Deep, the desert island game.
Have you been streaming any of that, or are you just sort of getting ready?
No, if I had my wits about me, I should really be streaming it because I hear the developers are paying anyone who streams it on console right now. But no, I don't want to do it now. I want to do it later.
When you don't get paid.
Yeah, when it's dead. I've been streaming the game that needs all the help it can get to get some traction in the marketplace. It's Minecraft. We had an episode. It's actually up there called the greatest video of Minecraft ever on YouTube, no joke, where the community came together and I came together to produce possibly the best Minecraft stream you'll ever see. There's even, I don't know if you've ever graced the social medias of the show, but there's even a T-shirt to commemorate what happened. Did you see that?
Yes, I did see that on the Discord chat, which you can come along and join. The link is through Instagram, so if you follow us on Instagram, please come and get involved on the Discord and see what all the fuss is about George's stream of Minecraft, which is a good watch if you're into that sort of thing. You stream every day, don't you?
Even if you're not, there's people who watch it that don't even play games now, so get on board.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Anyway, so Minecraft, we don't need to say anything about that, other than to thank Bobolo, Batoxis, Finster, and Tanto Ninja for their assistance, and then everybody else who gets the shout out every stream for their assistance there. But they did the science. They were the scientists behind the Manhattan Project. Stranded Deep. Have I played any retro? Oh, I've been playing the original Tomb Raider.
Oh, I bet that's rough.
It's actually on PlayStation 1. It's last time I played it was on Saturn and it was very, very, very chuggy. On PlayStation 1, it was actually all right. The controls take a little bit of getting used to, but once you've got them embedded, it's fine. Pulled out, had a chat with Bobby, pulled out Flashback, and that wound me up within about the space of an hour. So I DDT'd it through the floor. What else have I had on? Been playing some NBA 2K on the Dreamcast. Still hard as nails. I know one of our loyal listeners, Doogie, he's been having some more success with it, but he sends me a message 1 minute saying he's had success, and then the next minute he's telling me that he's been beaten. So it's not very forgiving with the fouls and with the, basketball's is obviously a non-contact sport, so it's actually takes quite a bit of finesse to play. And just so you know, I've obviously got Stranded Deep lined up, maybe possibly for some stream in the future. Hunter Call of the Wild 2019, not that Hunter 2 that you told me about with the dog, which might also be a possible buy, but it's not out yet. The Call of the Wild 2019 edition is $15.99 on the store at the moment. So there's some good deals on the PlayStation Store that I've noticed. So I might...
Yeah, the days of play sales on, isn't it? So
yeah,
there's some
I might get that, but I've recently been going a little bit booloo buying retro tat on the internet, so I probably ought to ease off a little bit. Other than that, I would say that's us all done. Do you want some... you ready for some news, Handsome, or what?
Yeah, I'll just switch to the news page.
We've scoured the very darkest regions of the internet to bring you the latest stories. First up, Sony ready to pull back the curtains. Sony's confirmed there'll be a PlayStation 5 game showcase next week on the 4th of June. It'll be over an hour in length. Sony has also published a teaser trailer, which features the slogan, "The Future of Gaming, Tom." CEO President Jim Ryan says, "I'm excited to share that we will soon give you a first look at the games you'll be playing after PlayStation 5 launches this holiday. This digital showcase will run for a bit more than an hour. For the first time, we'll be all together virtually experiencing the excitement. A lack of physical events has given us an opportunity to think differently and bring you this journey with us, hopefully closer than ever before." This is part of our series of PlayStation 5 updates. Rest assured, after next week's showcase, we'll still have much more to share with you. Thoughts on that, Tom?
Well, yeah, it's going to shape up to be a very busy couple of weeks, isn't it, within the industry? Because normally we'd have E3, but I think there's going to be a lot of digital events and so forth. And Sony, much rumoured event, is now an official thing. It's happening. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, very, very excited for that. They really need to sort of come out all guns blazing. I think they've fallen a bit behind in the next generation propaganda.
Well, one would imagine if this doesn't work out for them, they'll have fallen very far behind.
I think so. Yeah, they've definitely got catching up to do. We haven't even seen the actual console yet. The controller looks great, so we might see a little bit more about the features.
On that note, I ordered.
Yes.
I ordered the Last of Us 2 exclusive controller. I'm not buying the console, but I'll buy the controller.
I didn't know you could get it separate.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, very good. Any reason why you wanted that? Or just
I saw it flash up that there was some still available, and I thought, I haven't actually got a game exclusive controller. I've got a white one and a couple of black ones, and there's the original launch PS4 controller, and then there's the PS4 Pro follow-up, which sort of moved the buttons around just a little bit.
Really?
Not massively, just the share button and the pause button, or start and select, as was back in the day. And a white one, which is quite cool. And then I thought, I'll get that. So it might be something I just keep boxed as a curio, but knowing me, I'll rip it open like a savage and use it. But I saw an article saying that the exclusive console was all sold out. So if you want to bag yourself a little bit of Last of Us merch, now would be the time. I can't remember. I think I've got the Steelbook as well, because I'm sure Amazon said you've got the option, do you want to upgrade to the Steelbook? And I just clicked yeah.
I must get mine pre-ordered. I'll do that this week. Had a few tips at work, which was always nice. So it takes the financial strain off getting a new game a little bit.
Well, I didn't realise when I pre-ordered Last of Us 2 and Ghost of Tsushima, I thought the money had been took out of my bank when I pre-ordered it. I've now looked, and I don't think they take the money out. I don't think they take the money out of your bank until it gets shipped. So now I'm like, oh, poo.
Yeah.
Bring me that ever-depreciating PlayStation 5 fund transfer.
I know, isn't it? Like, I get sort of a bit of money saved in my little pot I've got, and I'm like, yeah, that'll go towards PS5. And then you're like, if you look at the schedule ahead, there's probably Last of Us, Ghosts of Tsushima, probably Cyberpunk. I think if I could keep it to those three, I'd be really happy. Because I know I could probably put a bit away then for the PS5. I'll still be having to trade a few things to get it. But anyway, back to the PS5 event. I think hopefully we'll see what Blue Point Games have been working on. Rumoured Demon's Souls remake, maybe something different.
Yeah.
I think they'll probably tie it all up at the end with a release date. I think that's what they kind of need to do. I know that's quite brave, and they're probably wanting to share other stuff throughout the course of the next couple of months over the summer. But yeah, I think we might see a release date. Even if it's, well, I think they'll be quite specific. But then with what's going on in the world, maybe they're still a little unsure themselves.
Well, they have also separately gone out to say that their release stocks aren't affected by coronavirus. So
I know that's pretty brave, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I noticed that when I went on, I was on eBay. I've also bought a PlayStation Vita grip that gives you L2 and R2. And I ended up getting it from Amazon, but there's loads of links on eBay from the Shenzhen area of China, shipping available to be with you in like a week. So fresh with Corona straight here. So obviously, if that's the industrial might of China kicking off again and making Vita grips, I'm sure somewhere someone important's gone like, we ought to make these PlayStation 5s, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't doubt. I think they'll meet their target. It's too much of a market.
No disrespect to the people that have obviously been affected by coronavirus, either through getting the illness and losing people, or possibly losing their job, or being disadvantaged in some way. It almost feels like we're about to go back to normal, as if nothing ever happened.
I think the only thing I'll say about it is when I was off on furlough, it seemed like it was a world-ending event or some bizarre thing. I've been back to work as soon as you get out there, you realise that most people are just doing what they did before.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to protect like the elderly and vulnerable, people with health issues. They really need to be sort of really kept, I don't know what the words are, but
shielded.
Shielded, yeah, that's a really good way of putting it. But yeah, we're not here to talk about that. I think people have heard enough of it, to be honest, and are a bit
just keep washing your hands.
Yeah, keep washing your hands and stop being a mucky so-and-so. So, yeah, what do you think we're going to see? Anything you could predict?
I have absolutely no idea. Probably Knack 3.
Knack 3, launch title.
With a deep dive with Mark Cerny for over 50 minutes talking about particles.
And triangles.
And triangles. Now, this wasn't possible before, and everyone will come out of that stream furious, slating Sony and pre-ordering Xboxes left, right, and Chelsea.
More than likely.
The migrant mass that decides which console does well out the gates, I think, are already packing their Xbox bags.
Maybe.
There's a transient... Both consoles are developing a loyal fan base, but then there's a transient mass that just hops from the latest, hottest thing to the next. And based on the momentum that Xbox has got, I see Xbox Series X doing well out the gates. Unless Sony unveil Jesus or some other religious deities are available, it's not going to go well. The fact that they're not doing this backwards compatible thing is, I'm someone who would probably use that, having got
it's all muddy
from all eras. But I think, but the fans wanted PlayStation 5 to be a celebration of PlayStation.
And have everything.
And have it play your PlayStation 1 to 3 to 4 games, no questions asked. And I think there's an ever-increasing list of compatible PlayStation 4 games that hasn't really been released to the public. Whereas Xbox just keep grinding away on the whole adding titles, engaging with the fans, doing all that. I think Games Pass, they've got some good momentum at the moment. So we'll see. I think there's a few people that are sort of on board with the teraflops gig, and they're like, oh yeah, it's the most powerful console, I need that. And I think it will sell. I think Xbox out of the gate will ship some serious numbers. It may be one of the closest ding-dongs we've had in a long time. It could get pretty bloody in the trenches, I feel.
I think the release dates are mega important. How many people are just going to be swayed that little bit more because they can get their hands on one of them sooner than the other?
Well, look what happened with 360. It got a massive push out the gates because it released earlier than PS3. Massive.
Definitely.
And the price point compounded that issue for Sony, and gave Xbox we were playing Xbox original, and the 360 came out, and it felt like a real generational leap. And if you think that you were playing 360 and your mate round the corner was playing Black on PS2, and that was his big game, that's a pretty bummed out Christmas, isn't it? I mean, no disrespect to Black, it's a great game and it looks great even on PS2. But if someone's playing Call of Duty 2 or Cameo, God forbid, or PGR 3 or whatever it is, or Condemned, Criminal Origins, things aren't looking too rosy. So if they pull us, it's not a year apart, but there's certainly some conjecture about how much these things are going to cost. And, we'll see, won't we? Next week, we'll know everything, no doubt, and then we can deliberate on that next episode. So stay tuned. Tom, what's the next bit of news?
Canned Kojima. Hideo Kojima recently had a major project cancelled, according to an extensive interview with Japanese site LiveDoor that was translated by VGC. Recently, a major project of mine got cancelled, so I'm pretty pissed. But that's the games industry for you, Kojima says, after LiveDoor asked about plans for the next game. Just what that game could have been is unclear, but Kojima was discussing future projects earlier in the year, as Games Radar reported back in January. In an interview with Japanese magazine Famitsu, Kojima and Yoji Shinkawa discussed wanting to work on a manga together or something with mecha that Shinkawa could design. Kojima also mentioned wanting to make movies, but that's obviously not what was canned. Kojima Productions did have plans to work on multiple projects, one of which would be a big game, and Kojima confirmed he was working on smaller episodic and digital-only titles. There's lots of projects, so it's unclear which of these were cancelled, but at least we know Kojima is still working on something. He tells LiveDoor it's still in the early planning stages, so I can't say too much, but on the down low, I'm actively working on it. While it certainly sucks to get a project cancelled, it's good to know Kojima is still plugging away at a new game. And thanks to the success of Death Stranding, Kojima Productions won't have any funding issues. We've absolutely crossed the line we needed to cross to be in the black, including recovering development costs. So I'd call it a successful result, Kojima tells LiveDoor. We just have to wait and see what Hideo Kojima has in store for us.
Interesting. I was pleasantly pleased to hear that Death Stranding has paid for itself and put some money in the bank. And one would imagine quite a lot, actually, because it did ship quite a lot of numbers. I mean, every man and his dog had that game. Still hoping one day that the collector's edition with the Bridge Baby in is cheap, but probably not going to happen. I had my chance to buy it in CEX for 250 quid, and I decided no. Foolish, maybe, but we'll see. Interesting to know, there's been Silent Hill rumours, there's been Norman Reedus rumours, there's been all sorts of rumours surrounding Kojima Productions. They didn't acquit themselves too badly off the back of Death Stranding. Some would say exemplary work, certainly me. I don't think you probably enjoyed it as much. Correct me if I'm wrong. No,
I found parts of it to be very, very frustrating. There was parts I absolutely loved.
I loved that game. It's Marmite. I really believe it's Marmite. If it intrigues you on a play, if you've watched some footage on YouTube and you're intrigued, I think it's your kind of game. If you've watched some footage on YouTube and thought this is boring, it's not for you. If you're even slightly intrigued by a playthrough that you've seen on the internet or by the trailers or by people talking about it, I would say most definitely it's a game for you. Worth picking up a PS4 for?
No.
I reckon it is. To me, that's one of the standout games that I've played this gen. I put it up there with Red Dead.
Overall, though, it's too diversive to be a system seller. I love the traversal, and I think that's great. But I think there's some other stuff that's just
don't get me wrong.
Nonsense.
If you were to appeal to the mainstream, it would be probably Spider-Man all day long. I mean, that's a great game. But I think if you are on the fence and you're not sure, Death Stranding might be. If you're even faintly interested in it, get all over it like a rash. Get all over it like Monster Energy over the camera when you've drank too much. Made Norman Reedus drink too much.
Right, last bit of news.
Well, what do you reckon he could be working on? Obviously, he's a bit in a hole, isn't he? Because he can't get access to his traditional go-tos, can he?
No. I've heard rumours he wants to work on a horror game, so I'd say maybe he might dabble more in the survival horror. I mean, Death Stranding's got some small elements of that, and we saw his
not that he's going to be able to pull it off, but can you imagine, because obviously Cyberpunk's got that area sewn right up, can you imagine like a Blade Runner-esque game from him, much like his earlier works of Snatcher and Policenauts?
Yeah, that'd be quite cool.
Like I say, how can you compete with Cyberpunk, though?
Yeah, it's looking better and better, isn't it? We're going to hear more about that apparently in, I think it's the second week of June.
Wow.
There's going to be a...
News, all the news. We have to come up with another episode with news in the title, Tom. Let me take this one because this one piqued my interest. It's either goodbye,
fanboy.
It's either goodbye, old friend, or welcome back. Welcome back. I'd love it if they made a new. Anyway, Sega strikes. Shut up. Shut up now. Sega strikes back. Sega are rumored to have some big news in store which will rile the video games industry. We're only days away from finding out what this announcement is. There's been plenty of speculation about what this Sega news could be after Japanese tech journalist Zenji Nishikawa teased the incoming reveal. Nishikawa-san said the news was coming in the next issue of Famitsu and said the announcement is on par with the reveal of the first ever PS5 details. The journalist said the huge scoop was about a game company that everyone loves, and later reportedly confirmed the announcement was about Sega. There's been plenty of speculation about what this Sega announcement could be. Fans have been left wondering if those long-running rumours about Microsoft acquiring Sega are about to come true. Goodbye, Yakuza.
I definitely don't think it's a new console. I don't think they've got the funds.
What about it's their 60th anniversary? What if it was like some sort of machine that was capable of playing every one of their games, from Game Gear, Master System, Mega Drive, Mega CD, Saturn, Dreamcast, and it be region free as well, so you can play like American games, Japanese games, British PAL games.
I think that would be awesome. Yeah, 100%. I think I'd only be playing Mega Drive and Dreamcast games on it. I've never really dabbled in the Saturn.
But at this point in time, fans could then do that, couldn't they?
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's just me spitballing. It's not going to happen. And if it was capable of doing all that and play games that were equivalent to sort of Switch level of graphics, and they started pumping out some of their multi-format titles like Yakuza on it,
yeah,
it's a bit left field, but I think I'd have one.
Yeah,
I know I'd have one.
I think a lot of people would. Well, what I think we'll probably get, I pray to God it's not just another Sonic revision of Sonic. Like,
how can that be as big as what they're saying, though? That's not possible.
Yeah, but this always happens. This happens so much in the news. Stuff is
to rival the reveal of the first PS5 details. Sonic Adventure 3. Are you kidding me?
I think, yeah. I don't think it's going to be massive. hopefully next week I'm proved wrong, and you'll be like, oh well, yeah, the Dreamcast 2, it's happening.
I mean, ultimately, maybe Sega got put off because they were always having to come up with like these chipsets and all that other sort of stuff, and they've seen everybody else putting PC components in a box and calling it a console, and gone, we good, Brian, yeah, yes, Mister Shaki Nikawawa. Can you get some of these bits cheaper? Let's say we bought like 200,000 on eBay. What would the price be? Oh, let me have a look. 6p. Brilliant. Okay, we'll make a console.
I think it'd be quite cool to see what you've just described, but as a streaming machine. So you can just stream Sega's full library.
Oof, that's going to involve a monthly fee, though, isn't it?
I think that's the more direction they would go rather than physical.
Oof. Have they still got enough clout as a publisher to say, we've got this game coming out exclusively on our streaming or whatever machine?
Yeah, no, that is a point.
Is there enough clout there for people to go like, oh, yeah, I know, I'll pay $9.99 a month for their entire some of their entire back catalogue. Well, partial amount of their back catalogue, just the Sega-produced games, nothing else.
It would have to be something pretty massive, and I think they'd probably do something like that if they saw it take off. If they were like, oh, this Sega streaming box is doing well, let's chuck out.
Well, they ain't got Shenmue anymore.
Well, no, I suppose not, no.
And Streets of Rage is now like flogging itself to the highest bidder,
Yeah.
Chucking itself around like a woman in a harem.
They maybe need a new IP. They're capable. They've produced some of the best ones, but I don't think we'll see that. It's too bold, isn't it?
Maybe we will, maybe we won't. Tom, let's draw a line under it. Did we miss anything? Do you have an opinion or take on the news we missed? If so, Tom, how would the collected, assembled thousands get in touch with us and let us know that we've made complete Billy Hatches of ourselves?
They can direct messages on Instagram or Twitter. You can also email us at questions@unofficialcontrollerpodcast.com or come and join the Discord chat with some like-minded gamers.
Like-minded gamers indeed. Tom, you've played it, ready for this feature, or you've replayed it. I've played it in the last 6 months. We're all fired up. It's the Last of Us 2 feature. We've basically surmised some of the bits that piqued our interest of the Last of Us 2 gameplay demo that Druckmann and Naughty Dog released last week. And we're going to give the fans a story catch-up to refresh their minds for those that don't really want to play through it again. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think it's good timing.
Are you hyped?
Do that. Yeah, after seeing the gameplay reveal, it's looking pretty cool. I have some concerns, not even to do with the story. I just hope the gameplay is refreshed enough to sort of warrant maybe 20 hours of gameplay or
more.
Or more, yeah. I think one thing I'll just say after finishing the first one was the fact that there's actually more hints to a sequel there than you first realise. Now we know there's a sequel. Before, when playing it originally, it's like, oh, okay, I guess that's the end of that then. But there's a lot of little hints there and a lot left unsaid or talked about, and lots of questions to be answered. So yeah, I'm looking forward.
Give me some examples of that.
I think learning about Ellie's mum more, maybe we might hear about that. Obviously the big, look, we're just going to go straight into talking about the end of the first one. Joel keeps like an important, basically lies to her, and then she says straight to his face, she like, promise me you won't lie or something along those lines, and he has done already. He's told her that basically there was lots of other people with the sort of immunity to the infected, but there wasn't. They were going to create a cure from Ellie, but in doing so, that would mean she would die. So Joel was like, no, I don't think you're going to do that. So I think there's a lot there to be answered. how she'll maybe find that out, or if she never does, how that affects the dynamic of their relationship. But yeah, I think there's more to learn about the Fireflies as a group, maybe if we hear any more from them. Joel's brother Tommy and his sort of community that he's trying to build, maybe we'll get more insight into that. But yeah, how do you feel about there actually being a sequel?
When I first heard they were doing a sequel, I was actually a bit deflated because I had played one and enjoyed it and thought, as a separate one-off piece of art or work, that's actually really quite, that's actually quite special. So I am intrigued, don't get me wrong, about what Last of Us 2 can bring. I'm not quite convinced it's carrying as much momentum as maybe Sony think it's carrying, but, it'll probably sell gangbuster numbers, so what am I talking about?
Yeah, I think people always wanted it, didn't they? But I think it's something...
It's another one of those times where the fans might want something. It doesn't necessarily mean you should deliver it. Prequels, sequel trilogy. Sometimes it's better left. You enjoy that original piece of work and think what could have been than get what you wanted. I mean, the more I watch those sequels, by the way, the more I have time for the prequels, which, who'd have thought that would be true? Attack of the Clones looks like a very sensible piece of filmmaking compared to The Last Jedi and Rise of the Skywalker.
Oh, don't get me started on those films.
After The Force Awakens, which was actually brilliant, I think it's a great film. They took the whole promise that they could have done with that sequel trilogy and flushed it straight down the toilet.
I actually sometimes think I'm not that big a Star Wars fan. I think I was into Phantom Menace. No, I think that's really true, and I'll just be honest, I just don't think I'm that into it.
You only like it because I said I like it.
Yeah, probably so. No, I was a big fan of the Phantom Menace. I think I was just the right age for that when it came out, like 13, 14. Just thought it was the best thing ever.
Still is good. I don't care what anybody says. I think that's still a good Star Wars film.
Okay. Anyway, we're going off topic.
Let's kick it off, Tom. Let's start breaking down. Let's start breaking down the trailer and the gameplay footage that we saw. Enemies and factions. The Washington Liberation Front is an armed group that originally fought to free Seattle from the military, but have become a powerful and deadly faction in Seattle since taking control of the city. They looked quite an interesting set of bad dudes, didn't they? They had
they've got guard dogs and stuff, haven't they? Who can track your scent, which obviously just takes away the fact that you could just go lay in some long grass or behind a cupboard. So that's going to be quite interesting.
And as we said a few episodes ago, they all of a sudden just forget ever looking for somebody and return to their patrol mechanic.
Quickly just discuss this. It got me thinking this week about next gen and stuff. And you've mentioned it before. In some ways, the graphics are so good at the minute anyway. I just want to see something different. This is going back to playing the World War II Call of Duty. It's like, wow, that looks incredible. And even though I enjoyed that mission, once you land on the beach, it's just Call of Duty. Straight, same framework underneath. And you're like, make me play a first-person shooter in such a way that is completely different to anything that's gone before. I don't, to be fair, it's unfair to expect that from a game that comes out every year. But something like The Last of Us needs to be doing stuff that's really different.
Well, we'll see, won't we? This next group of bad guys, they've got some menace to them. It's a faction that Ellie encounters called the Sephirites, or Scars, a religious group of zealots that specialise in stealth combat and camouflage. The Sephirites are the cloaked group seen in the first Last of Us 2 reveal trailer. There's something quite I don't know. So when similar characters and clans have been in The Walking Dead, they've always carried the most sort of dread for me. These sort of religious guys, they're actually quite terrifying, aren't they?
The word there, like camouflage. Now that would be fantastic if you're like walking through a building or some like a built up wooded area, and they're just like, I don't know, leant against a tree, but they've got that much camouflage. So just as you walk past, you just see like this slight movement. You turn around.
That would put you on edge, wouldn't it? That would be incredible.
I think just navigating through probably their territories would be really good like that. I agree. They always are a bit more sinister and willing to go to greater lengths, whereas obviously this Washington Liberation Front are more militarized and they're actually fighting for reason.
Do you think they're going to be the slightly more cannon fodder type characters?
Yeah, maybe. I think these scars are a lot more, I don't know, from what I've seen of them, they're more hand-to-hand combat and very horrible looking homemade melee weapons. As we've said, the Washington Liberation Front are well armed and probably have been equipped from taking over the military in the city. So yeah, I think that would be nice if they play and raise different combat situations for you to deal with.
And moving on to this next, obviously there's the infected. Now, my take on The Last of Us story in the first one was that they slowly just grew into bits of like fungus on the wall. And I therefore thought there wouldn't really be any. But obviously people are still getting infected. So there's newly infected. So the infected types will be present in the sequel, such as shamblers, pustule-covered infected that explodes when hit. And obviously all the enemies from the first game, which again, when I extrapolated it in my mind, I thought, well, there can't be any baddies. It's all going to be human bad guys. That would be quite interesting. But obviously, to throw these new infected into the mix, pustule-covered infected that explodes when hit, reminds me of the bad guy in Dead Space. You know, that had exploding arms. If you let it get too close, it literally caused you damage. That was my initial thought when I saw it. Druckmann did not share the most horrifying new affected type, but a terrifying roar can be heard over the black screen as it fades.
I love that little tease. I thought that was really well done. That's how you do a trailer, because when this got announced, I was like, you know what, I might give that a miss. I just feel like I've seen enough already and I don't want to spoil anything, but I think
I wasn't going to watch it until we decided to do a feature on it.
Yeah, after watching it, I was like, yeah, that was perfect. It just whet the appetite a little bit more. Didn't show a great deal of anything else than we've seen already. There's a few nice little new sort of
last time we did a feature like this with a little bit of hands-on ahead of, preview type thing ahead of time. Days Gone. Are you going to give Last of Us 2 a 7? Solid review.
Who knows? I've booked the day off work for it on the 19th. So hopefully, I'm just really worried if I order it online, it's not going to come till the end of the day, and then I've just wasted a complete one holiday day off work.
Stop being weird. You've got plenty of other things you can be doing.
Oh yeah, I know, but if I'm booking that time off to play a game, then I want to be playing games.
Right. So instead of spending it with your family, you're going to waste one of those holiday drops on a game. You can ignore your wife and beautiful wife and handsome young son. You're going to shun them, lock yourself in a darkened room and create loud screeching noises.
We all need our escapism. That's all I can say.
Just drawing the enemy section to a close there, Tom. It's been reported that the NPCs are smarter now and can track, as you mentioned earlier, can track you from your scent. Ellie needs to stop buying some Impulse from Superdrug and start wearing the natural roll-on.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Let's talk locations and map details. The Last of Us 2 picks up several years after the events of the first game, after they settle in the relatively peaceful settlement in Jackson, Wyoming. Ellie is 19 at the start of the sequel, and will cover expansive parts of the world, including real-life locations. The game will take place over multiple seasons and climates. I like the idea of that. From the snow-capped mountains, I think they're going to play... Is the game going to be broken down into basically winter, summer, spring and autumn? And then obviously they'll use that as a graphical cues for each level and area. I've got a funny feeling that's what's going to happen. Snow-capped mountains of Jackson to the lush Pacific Northwest. Naughty Dog has put great detail into recreating the real cities the maps are based on. Seattle will be another location Ellie visits on her journey. Along with jumping, Ellie will be able to use ropes. This piqued my interest. To traverse a more open and expansive map or hidden secrets. Naughty Dog says The Last of Us 2 will be some of the studio's biggest worlds they've ever created. Now that's saying something if you've played Uncharted 4 with the Africa section. Yeah. Horses and boats will also help Ellie traverse the larger map. So let's pick those apart. We'll disregard the fact that Ellie's 19. You need to lift your mic up again.
Is that better?
Yeah. That heavy breathing, although it probably fits in with The Last of Us 2, it's probably off-putting to a lot of fans. So let's talk about that multiple seasons. We've seen snow, we've seen spring, we've seen autumn pretty much in the trailers and the footage that we've seen. That's an interesting take on it. It's a shame, obviously, it's going to be a linear game, so it's not going to advance gently, is it? It's going to be...
Yeah, I think they'll...
A level ends, it's spring, level ends, it's summer.
Yeah, I think that kind of works relatively well in the first one because it shows a little bit of time's passed and they're sort of still on the road and travelling and you're not seeing everything they do, but you're there for the important parts. I do like the changes in the season. It does freshen things up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It brings up maybe new traversal decisions as well.
Largest world they've ever created?
Yeah, I don't know whether it needed to be.
No, I don't, but...
And I hope it's not... Sometimes I got distracted on it just looking for extra bits of loot in areas when really, if they're on let's say Ellie's on this urgent mission or whatever she's doing, why would you just stop and spend half an hour looting a building? It kind of takes away the flow sometimes, I think, of a very story-driven game.
Agreed.
I'm sure they'll be able to sort of...
Well, pretty good adding the fact that you'll be using ropes to go up and down looking for these elusive hidden areas or features, we'll get to that. But do you find a Vita and Hotline Miami? I'm sure they could squeeze Hotline Miami into this for you to play. It's not a massive game, but I tell you what, it's one that got overlooked. It's incredibly good. Horses and boats?
Now, this got me thinking to the enemy types. The water. One of the big fears for a lot of people in a video game is crossing the open water or swimming, diving down. I think there's some cool ideas there. Maybe we won't see anything with that, though. I have no idea. The roar in the trailer was hard to work out. It sounded more like a land animal, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
If it is an animal, it might just be something massive like a giant infected.
Maybe they all combine together over the time. Maybe because they sort of grow into the wall, don't they? And maybe another one grows into it. It could be something like that.
I'd personally like to see it affecting animals because I think that'd be quite cool.
Well, they've been so far. They've been free of it, haven't they?
Yeah, I think so.
Let's talk the combat. How we're going to take these dudes down. Ellie's physical advantages come into play in combat. She's more agile than enemies and can dodge and counter enemies during fights. Because of the large map size, Ellie can use the environment to her advantage or avoid combat instances altogether. Allies will sometimes join Ellie during combat encounters in other parts of the game. Ellie can take down enemies with the help of friends or fight off clickers as a group. There'll be a skill upgrade and weapon systems that lets players create unique fighting styles that cater to their preferences. Players can scavenge for parts to customize weapons. These customizations will be visually represented on your weapons. So if you're if the rifle sights, for example, the scope will be added to the rifle. We've seen footage of this weapon customization before, and it looked incredible.
Oh mate, yeah, where she's like putting in the screws or doing up the screws for the rifle scope so it sits properly on the rifle on the workbench.
Top tip, Ellie, you might want to use a screwdriver there though, Gail, because you don't want that falling off or...
Yeah.
But, that's just me nitpicking. Generally, the new... obviously, the way she was more agile and able to sort of dodge and weave around them, it's going to be interesting to see how that's going to get mapped to the controller, whether it's like almost like a QTE button prompt to nip round as they draw close, or whether that's going to be you physically got the ability to use the control stick because she's that agile to sort of roll her out the way, whether it's a Dark Souls roll or...
Yeah, I think it'll be an evolution of like a dodge button, but she just is. She's a lot, obviously not as strong as Joel, but a lot more agile. And got youth on her side as well.
Played with her. You see, have you played the DLC for Last of Us? Yeah,
I have. Yeah,
you've played that.
Uh-huh.
Did you play that this time? Is it on the remastered package?
I've only played it once, and that was on the remaster.
Ah, right, okay. I don't know where I played it. I think I might have played it on the PS3. Thoroughly enjoyed it though. It was I say thoroughly enjoyed it. It was an interesting couple of hour distraction, wasn't it? It wasn't. I don't remember it being massive.
No, it wasn't particularly big, but it was nice to give her a bit more backstory as well.
It was nice to put some story behind that. You don't really know how long you've been out as Joel when you're out, do you? You just kind of know.
No.
That,
If anything, like if you've never played him first, I'd play Left Behind first.
That would be a bit foolish, wouldn't it?
Well, it's said before. It would make sense, timeline wise.
How can it be set before when it takes place while he's ill, doesn't it?
No. No, I'm sure it's set because she even discusses it in the main story.
Oh, I thought it was.
I know when you're thinking of, but that is actually part of the full game.
Is it?
Yeah, the bit in the woods where you meet that guy.
I thought the part that I'd played was where you're like in a shopping mall. Joel's
that is. No, that is the prequel.
Is it?
It is, yeah.
Oh, I thought it fitted better that it was happening while he was ill.
No, there is a bit, obviously.
Oh, you're right, because she meets a girlfriend in it, doesn't she, if memory serves correctly?
Yeah.
And there's that fairground ride in there?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
There's various like interactive things, isn't there?
Maybe it's a good job we're doing this refresh of the story, Tom, because I'll be bimbling into The Last of Us Part 2 completely blind. Where else did we get to go? Gameplay. Let's talk about some of the facts and some of the bits that we saw in the gameplay. We saw that at the end of it, we got like an exclusive bit of footage, didn't we, of like the game play through in a seamless sequence.
So she can swim now.
Yeah,
quite a big deal.
Which they
no
need to have a throwaway line there about that. They need to. Ellie begins with Ellie diving into a lake. And that looks all very realistic in my mind, to avoid detection from enemies before surfacing behind her prey. Hotline Miami exists in the world of The Last of Us, seemingly. Ellie added a silencer to her pistol to enable her to kill more stealthily, and can also take enemy NPCs hostage if she ever needs cover or protection. Like in the first game, Ellie can use various explosives and traps during combat. Enemies will attack you while you're trying to open locked doors. Gameplay and cinematics blend seamlessly during the demo. Obviously, we've seen that before. Was it God of War? Scripted sequences will occur during gameplay, and while other times gameplay will transition into a cinematic sequence.
Sorry, I thought you were going to say something.
No, that was it, really. I mean, that gameplay demo pretty much sewed up nicely all the different points that had been raised by Gutman on this playthrough, or this whole demo. Was it 27 minutes, 30 minutes long?
I think one of the strongest things I took away from it, from the combat and things, is how well the animations. It's just the animations. Everything looks so real, and it feels so tense when she's just fighting one person, and the way the bodies move and the physical.
I think that's what's to be taken away from The Last of Us Part 2. It's almost like the pinnacle of what's really been achieved this gen, with the seamless blend between CGI's, story and movie sections back into gameplay. The way that the animations, there must be multiple stacks of animations used to be able to blend it also seamlessly. Last of Us 1 was good, but there's times where you sort of grab and you morph behind, and then you morph to this animation, and it kind of looks a bit wooden and broken at times. The Last of Us Part 2 seems to just blend that so well together. It just all sort of flows like you are watching a movie. Kudos to them, really. We saw some of that in Uncharted 4, to be fair, didn't we? But this seems to have taken it to new heights.
Yeah, it does. It's certainly the final benchmark for them, I think, of what they can achieve on the PS4.
Exactly. And if that's whetted your appetite, Tom, and you're eager to play Last of Us Part 2, and you maybe played Last of Us Part 1 a while ago, or you've never played it and you don't give a damn about spoilers, but you want to play Last of Us Part 2 and don't want to go in blind, this next section should help people get their head around what's been going on and set some parenthesis behind some of the larger plot points potentially in 2.
If you want to kick off and then just give me a pause when you want me to take over, because we'll just run through this as basically a little flashback of the first game and how everything happened.
It's September 2013. An outbreak of a mutant cordyceps fungus ravages the United States, transforming its human hosts into aggressive creatures known as the Infected. In the suburbs of Austin, Texas, Joel, played by Troy Baker, flees the chaos with his brother Tommy and daughter Sarah. As they flee, Sarah is shot by a soldier and dies in Joel's arms. I mean, that was a big moment, that, Tom, and that's a.
I remember playing. I don't want to diverge too much because we're trying to discuss the story, but that's the first thing I ever saw of Last of Us. I watched that first opening bit on YouTube. Mm-hmm. I was like, one day, if I get a PlayStation, that's a game I'm going to have to play.
Okay,
it's a great intro.
I'll read this story out because it's probably easier that way. 20 years later, civilization's been decimated by the infection. Survivors lie in heavily policed quarantine zones, independent settlements, and nomadic groups. Joel works as a smuggler with his partner Tess in the quarantine zone in Massachusetts, north end of Boston. They hunt down Robert, a black market dealer, to recover a stolen weapons cache. Before Tess kills him, Robert reveals that he traded the cache with the Fireflies, a rebel militia opposing the quarantine zone authorities. The leader of the Fireflies, Marlene, promises to double the cash in return for smuggling a teenage girl, Ellie, to Fireflies hiding in Massachusetts State House outside the quarantine zone. Joel, Tess, and Ellie sneak out in the night. After an encounter with a government patrol, they discover Ellie is infected. Full infection normally occurs in under 2 days, but Ellie claims she was infected 3 weeks earlier and that her immunity may lead to a cure. The trio make their way to their destination through hordes of the infected, but find the Fireflies there have been killed. Tess reveals she's been bitten by an infected and, believing in Ellie's importance, sacrifices herself against pursuing soldiers so Joel and Ellie can escape. Joel decides to find Tommy, a former Firefly, in the hope that he can locate the remaining Fireflies. With the help of Bill, a smuggler and survivalist who owes Joel a favour, they acquire a working vehicle from Bill's neighbourhood. Driving into Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Joel and Ellie are ambushed by bandits and their car is wrecked. They ally with 2 brothers, Henry and Sam. After they escape the city, Sam is bitten by an infected but hides it from the group. As the infection takes hold, Sam attacks Ellie, but Henry shoots him dead and immediately afterwards commits suicide out of grief. In the fall, Joel and Ellie finally find Tommy in Jackson County, Wyoming, where he has assembled a fortified settlement near a hydroelectric dam with his wife Maria. Joel decides to leave Ellie with Tommy, but after she confronts him about Sarah, he decides to let her stay with him. Tommy directs them to a Fireflies enclave at the University of Eastern Colorado. They find the university abandoned. One thing I'd say about The Last of Us, it's very much like, go here. No, they're not here. Go there. Oh, no, they're not there. Try here. No, they're not there either. Where do we get to? They find the university. Every time I felt sort of disheartened when we got there, but that's probably how they wanted me to feel. The Fireflies have moved to a hospital in Salt Lake City, Utah. Afterward, the two are attacked by bandits and Joel is severely wounded while escaping. During the winter, Ellie and Joel shelter in the mountains. Joel is on the brink of death and relies on Ellie to care for him, hunting for food. Ellie encounters David, played really rather well by Nolan North, I'd have to say.
He's a very creepy character, isn't he?
It jives very much against his usual characters, especially in the Naughty Dog game. So it was a good turn. And James, scavengers willing to trade medicine for food, despite initially appearing friendly and cooperative. David turns hostile after revealing the university bandits are part of his group. Ellie manages to leave David's group away from Joel, but is eventually captured. David intends to recruit her into his cannibal group. Refusing the offer, she escapes after killing James, but David corners her in a burning restaurant. Meanwhile, Joel recovers from his wounds and sets out to find Ellie. He reaches Ellie and she kills David and breaks down crying. Joel comforts her before they flee. In the spring, Last of Us 1 melded through the seasons, as we're remembering here. In the spring, Joel and Ellie arrive in Salt Lake City. Ellie is rendered unconscious after almost drowning before they are captured by a Firefly patrol. In the hospital, Marlene tells Joel that Ellie is being prepared for surgery in the hopes of producing a vaccine for the infection. The Fireflies will remove the infected portion of Ellie's brain, which will kill her. Unwilling to let Ellie die, Joel battles his way to the operating room, carries unconscious Ellie to the parking garage. He's confronted by Marlene, whom he shoots and kills to prevent the Fireflies from pursuing them. On the drive out the city, when Ellie wakes up, Joel claims that the Fireflies had found many other immune people, but were unable to create a cure, and that they have stopped trying. On the outskirts of Tommy's settlement, Ellie expresses her survivor guilt. To her insistence, Joel swears his story about the Fireflies is true. Well, that's one hell of a ride there, Tom, and hopefully that's got people's appetites whetted for part 2. As I said before, it kind of neatly sews up where it's at, but as you raise, it raises quite a lot of questions. To that end, we, as always, contacted the community, Tom, to ask them for their thoughts, questions, and concerns, more than likely, about what The Last of Us 2 will bring.
It's all got very Farmerton.
It got very heated.
Wagon,
one thing I would say about our community is I hope it's very welcoming. I wouldn't like to think it's not assailable by anybody who's coming along. Now, there were some rather passionate people that on any other week probably would have got away with it. But seemingly some nerves were touched. I implore nothing but kindness from the community. I think that's the way forward. But we'll see.
I was the opposite. I was stood on the balcony of the penthouse in NYC, thumb held out horizontal, ready to turn up or down, depending on what we thought.
Yeah, I just managed to calm things down, and then you waded in typical fashion, giving it the Billy Big Boots. So, yeah.
Yes.
You can't always choose who's a fan of the show. Including yourself. Retro Gamer Thomas C chimes in. He says, I've literally just finished The Last of Us this week. It's a fantastic game. It's slightly aged now, but considering it's originally a PS3 game, it holds up very well. For me, it's all about what Naughty Dog does best, and that's the story. So well written and superbly acted throughout. It just sucks you in. It really made me feel as if there was an apocalypse. It would be very similar to this. It wasn't really. We all stayed at home and played video games. It's great to see the ups and downs of Joel and Ellie's relationship as inevitably become closer. Although Joel, for obvious reasons, tries to keep his distance, but I will say I find a replay unlikely because it's so story-driven, you know exactly what's happening. Unlike an open-world game or a butterfly effect game like Detroit Become Human, There's so much more to do after completion to give the incentive to replay. It was a sigh of relief when I completed it because I felt I'd made that journey with them, but not necessarily want to go through it again. I will say it's definitely a game I think everyone should play at least once, just for the story alone. Yes, the controls are a bit clunky now. After the first hour or so, I got used to them and didn't really notice. Yeah, I have to admit, it takes you a little while to get into the grind, doesn't it? The only other thing I could have added to the game was slightly more puzzles, stroke problem solving, a bit similar to what they had done in Uncharted. It got a bit samey with you when you find water, Ellie can't swim, so you have to look for a crate and take Ellie across, and that's every time you find the water, no variation. Overall, it's a solid 8 out of 10 for me and definitely worth a play, just for the fantastic story alone. As for the second part, I'm really looking forward to it, but it's the same issues as the first. Buy on release or wait for a remaster on next gen. I don't think that's going to happen because it's already been stated it's compatible with PS5. From state of play, it looks fantastic to see the change in Ellie and what this world has done to her. Looks like there's been a few more mechanics to add in, which should smooth the gameplay somewhat. Overall, I can't wait to see the next installment and what's going to happen next. Thank you, Retro Gamer Thomas. Who's next, Tom?
Boba Lobo with just a simple one. I'm Xbot.
He is Xbot, or I am Xbot. Okay.
I am Xbot. We've got C plus skin next.
Winner of last month's prize, Tom. Yeah.
I've never played the series. When I did show an interest in the original game, I just looked up the opening and ending segments with no context online. I was a dumb early teenager back then who thought I wouldn't need to waste money on games if I just saw the ending of it. So this looked pretty brutal in terms of the amount of quick thinking and attention to detail and sound design, but I don't really feel in the mood to be miserable normally.
Thank you for that, C plus skin. He's took your approach to playing games back in the day, Tom.
Really? I think it's a very dark game, isn't it? And it's going to put some people off who want to probably not have to go on that journey, but yeah, it's not for everyone.
Okay. Comic Pictures, next? 79. If you want unofficial controller merch, she's the man to see. Comic Pictures, no space, on Etsy. Browse his works on it on Instagram. I'm sure you'll find something there. And obviously, best comment of the month wins a prize from his smorgasbord of collection. It's not just unofficial controller, there's loads. You think of a geek franchise, Tom? He's got a bit of it, hasn't he? Mad Max, we've seen people Mad Max, all sorts of good stuff. If you want the latest T-shirt from the show, and that's the Manhattan Project, he's the man to see. Or if you want the classic The Man Who Finishes Games, he's the man to speak to. I obviously won't be able to play part 2, he says, because I don't have a PlayStation. But if I'm perfectly honest, I'm not that cut up about it. I played the first game, and it was good, but it's very much a one-and-done thing for me. It's just an opinion, kind of like an airport novel. It's well written, very engaging with an opening. It gets its hooks in you right away, but ultimately it's the kind of book I wouldn't read again or keep in pride of place on my bookcase. I think mostly now I look for games I can play with other people. The sequel will, however, be a total smash hit, and loads of outlets will be calling for it to be the best game ever made. I'm sure it'll be deserving of a big percentage of its overall score. I think ultimately there's still a few PS exclusives I would like to play, but I can't justify the cost of a system for a few one-play-through single-player games.
That's a good point. Not so much The Last of Us, but talking about those one-run-through single-player games, that is quite true of... Like, if I look at the hours I've put into probably Overwatch or Warzone or a lot of other online games over the years, it absolutely smashes anything single player wise. Maybe Breath of the Wild came close, but
do me a favour and stop talking about that dead game.
Well, I'm just on about online in general.
Don't bring it up again.
Okay, you are the relic, the dinosaur who will not turn his face to online games.
Did I or did I not download and try that game? Every other game I've told you to download and try, you've never even given a decent go.
Order 1886.
How long did you play that for?
It's dead.
I played Overwatch for over 20 hours. Say sorry now. Say sorry
I'm
now.
sorry. I'm sorry. Old Night Walker Gin. Star and eye emoji, rock emoji, clap emoji.
I think he's looking forward to Last of Us Part 2, don't you?
I think he is, yeah. I think
Retro
he is.
Life 91. Well, firstly, I've played the first one at least 8 times. Here's a man of sense. I loved it so much, I've got an almost complete half-sleeve tattoo dedicated to it. Needless to say, I've booked the 19th of June off work.
He is a fan.
He is a fan. Talking of tattoos, Tom, when I get to 1 million subs on YouTube, or the show gets to 1 million subs on YouTube, I will get the coordinates to my Minecraft bed on my left arm. There's a reason to promote the hell out of the YouTube, because you actually get to disfigure another human being just by clicking subscribe. Retro Life 91's obviously very keen to get involved. He's took a week off work like you. He's got a half
day.
sleeve.
I've got a day.
Well, you took a day. Okay, fair enough.
Just a day.
I might take a week off actually now just to see you over. Independent Variable 24. We know him as Sensei Rios from the Farmerton days. He says, I'm out. Naughty Dog blew it. I won't spoil it for anyone, but I'm not supporting an SJW forced agenda game. And also the female characters look manly as hell. Laughing till I cry. Shock or surprise emoji. Ghost of Tsushima now. That's the game I'm defo getting. 100 underlined emoji. I don't want to go on that because that's basically what most of the furore was about on the page of the day. Controversy, Tom. The game's carrying a lot of controversy because there's spoilers out there.
The problem with the spoilers is they tally up to about 2 hours of the game. Any written spoilers that were released, leaking the chapters and what each chapter involved, have been proven fake. So people are judging a game on 1 to 2 hours content. They know nothing else about it.
Well, Sensei Rios, as always, entitled to his opinion, as is of everybody. I couldn't really, out of all the other stuff that was going on the page, I couldn't really pick out anything else that actually added value, I'm afraid. So you've got what you've got. There's one man that's going to take us to the bridge, though, Tom. Do you want to put some eloquence to his words?
Do by Jim. Can you hear me okay? I just want to check.
No, I can't hear you. How would I answer that question if I couldn't hear you?
Good question. Divide Jim. Blind Blaters battling. Cordy Caps controlled clickers chasing. Fireflies frantically flitching. Ellie's exceptional elixir. Revolutionary storytelling that challenges and subverts the usual expectations of the bad guy. Only painting in shades of ever more desolate grey. Words of a poet.
Wow, that's absolutely fantastic. Has Do by Jim ever won? Because he's just put himself in pole position in my eyes. I think he might have done, actually. I'm not sure.
I think he raised an interesting point about...
You call it cordy claps. I wonder if that's like an STD in the world of The Last of Us, and it's just a little bit different to the cordyceps. It's like a little fungal infection of your privates.
He raises a good point about the grey characters there. I think, like, Joel and Ellie are not necessarily, like, we're invested in them and we see them as good characters, but they do some bad things throughout the course of the first game.
Yes, they do.
So,
listen,
it's not always...
What's he been up to this week?
The Ray.
Yes, the Ray. What's he been up to?
He has been selling PS Vitas at Tattershall car park car boot.
The realism era. Wow, you've pulled that one out the air, haven't you? Okay, well, I didn't even know it was on. It was just a one-man car boot and him flogging PS Vitas. I wish I'd known because I'd have gone and bought the boot full. Were they boxed? Or were they fake?
They weren't boxed, but some were legit, some were fake.
Oof.
Some had like a a chip in that allows you to play multiple other games from other consoles or
but
other
nothing
handhelds.
PS Vita.
Yeah, nothing Vita, just like Game Boy original.
Well, with that note, Tom, he tears up the drive like he does every week. That's precision driving. Listen at those stones. It's time for a peek in what we affectionately call Stingray's boot. What's next between some counterfeit nappies and a dodgy copy of Battlefriend all this week. These are the new release highlights for the week May 25th to May 31st, 2020. Listeners, these are at digital or physical, or will be by the time this podcast is in your feed, but could be region dependent. Tom, pick a VHS. Pick a mummy from the smorgasbord. I'll kick it off with my mummy. Mummy, I want Minecraft Dungeons, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, PC, May 26th. Fight your way. This is another one that you're getting paid, streamers are getting paid to play. Am I playing it? Am I? Heck, I'll play it when it's dead.
Now, Sorry. Finish it and then I'll...
Through an all-new action game inspired by classic dungeon crawlers and set in the Minecraft universe. Brave the dungeons alone or team up with friends for up to 4 players can battle together against action-packed, treasure-stuffed, wildly varied levels, all in an epic quest to save the villagers and take down the evil Arch-Illager. Power up, unlock dozens of unique items and weapon enchantments for devastating special effects. Multiplayer up to 4 players can team up and fight together in co-op mode. Options: personalize your character, then fight up close and personal with melee, swings, hang back with ranged attacks, or tank your way through swarms of mobs with shielded by heavy armor. Epicness: explore treasure, stuffed levels, and a quest to take down the Arch-Illager. What are you going to tell me now?
I hope you're going to get that. I'd actually be interested in playing that through with you.
$32.99. Let's buy it now.
You are joking.
No.
It's not that much, is it?
I think it is.
I think it's like £17.
I'm not convinced. Let me just double check that. While you read out the next one.
Wildfire on the PC, May 26th. What's all this about? Master the elements in this stealth game where everything burns. Use your elemental powers to start fires, freeze water, and move earth as you outsmart superstitious enemies in this mischievous 2D stealth game. I'll take the next one if you want while you're still browsing for Minecraft Dungeons. Next up, we've got Phantasy Star Online 2 PC.
$24.99.
Oof. Yeah, still a little bit out of my budget, that one.
So you're not... Okay, there we go. As always. All talk... Nothing to back it up. You're like you're the dog the postman fears, but when he finally opens the gate, he sees a little chihuahua there.
Yeah. Phantasy Star Online 2 PC, May 27th. The long-awaited free-to-play online RPG, Phantasy Star Online 2, has finally come. Where revolutionary gameplay features such as endless adventures, hybrid custom action, and unprecedented character customization. This is the RPG that will surpass all your expectations. To play Phantasy Star Online 2 online on Xbox One, subscription to Xbox Live Gold is required. The core game is free to play, but there's a certain paid content that can be purchased.
Is this a hint of things to come? They've got Phantasy Star wrapped up as an exclusive. They've got Yakuza on Games Pass. Is it just a foregone conclusion that they've already bought Sega?
It could be. It could be.
Well, up next, let me pull this rotten-looking title out the boot. It's Reki on PC, May 27th. Fresh technical drawing aesthetics meet elegantly designed logic challenges in this minimalist puzzle game with just a dash. Just a wee sniff of colour. Dungeon Defenders Awakened on PC, May 28th. Dungeon Defenders Awakened as a co-op tower defense. Yay. Combined with action-adventure RPG combat, you'll be able to join forces up to 4 players to take on a never-ending army of orcs, demons, and dragons. Are your defenses strong enough to save the world of Etheria? That'll be out on Switch before you know it. Shovelware Tat. What's next?
What we've got next? Fly Punch Boom. The wildest anime fight ever. Fly super fast, smash your friends through skyscrapers, and break the planet with one punch. Up to 4 players local and 2 online.
Give us the date and formats that's coming out on, or is it on Mega Drive?
That is on Switch and PC, May 28th.
Shantae and the Seven Sirens, PS4, Xbox One, Switch and PC, May 28th. Shantae, Whoever thought Shantae from the Game Boy Color needed a sequel? Well, it's had plenty now, and it's had more fanfare than any other game. Shantae is back in an all-new tropical adventure in a 5th outing. Can you believe that? The half-genie hero gains new fusion magic abilities to explore a vast sunken city, makes new half-life genie friends, half-genie friends, sorry, my bad, and battles as a Freudian, and battle the 7 sirens in her biggest, most thrilling quest yet.
We've got the penultimate. Those who remain, Xbox One, PC, May 28th. As the lights go out, the embers of darkness are stoked in the sleepy town of Dormont. Confront uncomfortable horrors, keep your sanity in check, and survive the night in the story-driven first-person psychological thriller.
That looks pretty good. Although you probably need the last one because I presume it's your mummy.
Yeah,
you haven't picked one.
My mummy this week's XCOM 2 on the Switch, May 29th.
I love
XCOM
it the way
2.
you say mummy.
Mumsy.
Mumsy. Mummy.
XCOM 2 is a sequel to XCOM Enemy Unknown, the 2012 award-winning strategy game of the year. Earth has changed and it's now under alien rule. Facing impossible odds, you must rebuild XCOM and ignite the global resistance to reclaim our world and save humanity.
Excellent. Tom, those that paid attention at the top of the show know that we're in the segment where I ask you what you're hoping to play.
Ooh. Going to be a quiet one for the next few weeks, I think, for me. I can only really afford to get Last of Us 2. I've about dabbled in everything back catalogue I can that I own anyway. It'll just be online gaming really this week.
Okay.
So, yeah, straightforward for me.
What will I be doing? Stranded Deep. Although I got a bit frustrated in that the other day. I got trapped in a boat and drowned. More adventures on my raft that I've made. Maybe I'll get Hunter, Call of the Wild, but I maybe need to simmer down. Stop spending money. I've got Doom coming in the post for the 32X. I know I could have bought better things, but I wanted another 32X game. I threatened it the other day, and now I've put some teeth in it. I'm still waiting for Snatcher to turn up, my repro copy in the post, which I'll get all over like a rash when it finally gets here. What else? Minecraft, obviously. I might go crazy and buy Hunter Call of the Wild 2019. I might. Or I might just do something sensible like play Farming Simulator 19. Trying to think what else I've got. I've got a copy of Rebel Assault 2 coming for the PS1, which is intriguing after playing the first one. I'll tell you one thing I was tempted by, talking of not wanting to spend money, but do you remember that Saints and Sinners game, Walking Dead, that came out for the Oculus? That everyone raved about. It's actually a real-life survival game set in the Walking Dead universe that's got good graphics and mechanics and is actually a really good game. That's out for PSVR.
Oh, wow.
And it looks amazing. It crept on the platform, as far as I can tell, with very little fanfare. I haven't seen anyone review it. You know, the normal likes, Push Square jumping up and slapping reviews out left in Chelsea for clickbait and all that sort of drivel. None of that. Barely been mentioned. I think it came out either last week or the week before. It got completely drowned out. So I might get that. Maybe. But other than that, I think that's it, Tom. Is that all we've got time for now, do you reckon?
It is.
Are you happy?
I'm happy.
Okay. Well, then, that's all we have time for this week. Listeners, as always, thank you for your time. We look forward to the pleasure of speaking to you again next week. Until then, happy gaming. Remember, there's nothing wrong with being given the unofficial controller. It's what you do with it that counts. Whatever Tom's just been drawing, that's also going to be an additional bonus feature for the next... You heard the noise in the background. What has he been drawing? Or were you pulling your leg hairs out?
Yeah.
Wow. So they get a collection of his leg hairs and whatever they want.
eBay.
Off Comic
Splash
79. Tom, see you next week.
See you next week.